Am I the a-hole for excluding my stepson from family trip? My stepson Kevin and I have known each other for 18 years. He's 30, and I never hesitated to adopt him because he was just the same as my other two sons. However, after he became 18, he started a new wave treatment. He'd constantly ask me to do things for him and tell me I'm one mistake away from him disowning me if I don't cater to his requests. I've helped with so much, but now that he's older, has his own family and lives hours away, we established a cordial relationship and no longer use the "you don't do this, I disown you" line. We wanted to go on a family trip to a beach resort. Before we left, Kevin contacted me saying he wanted to go with the family, but didn't have money to pay for his family. I said everyone was required to pay for themselves, not just him. He said his mom will pay. His mom said she won't pay, but wanted me to indirectly contact him and insist to pay for his family with his own money. I told him that, and he asked me to pay. Then he or mom would repay me later. My children will claim that I'm forcing them to pay while I'm paying for Kevin, and I just sent him an email informing him of my final decision, that he either pay or not go. I got no response from him. We went on the trip, and he called my number and was very, very angry. I told him I'd given him enough time to figure something out, but he claimed I didn't give him any options, and refused to help and pay even when he said he'd repay me or get his mom to. I explained why I couldn't pay for his family, and the favoritism and drama this would bring. He said it seemed like I was punishing him for how he treated me years ago, but I told him I treat all children equally, never played favorites on either side, thus refusing to pay for him and the other children. He complained I don't consider him family, and he and his wife were incredibly hurt by being excluded, and that implied he'd consider disowning me. But I respectfully told him to fly a kite and disown me, because I don't care anymore. He's an adult that can make whatever decision he wanted, but also as an adult, he's gotta live with his decision. He hasn't talked to me in a week. His mom says that I should have taken this opportunity to strengthen my relationship with Kevin, but now I've brought it back to how it was years ago, saying I should have paid for his family to come since I have the money, and just hide it from my other children. I told her what kind of message that sent to my other children who are 21 and 24 but still had to pay. I guarantee you, Kevin would have bragged about going on the trip for free. She's suggesting that I call and apologize to try and salvage my relationship, especially since I've brought this upon myself. I lashed out at her asking what kind of mess-up family dynamics this is, basically buying his love and acceptance for how long? I ended the conversation right then, but I keep getting told I shouldn't be surprised if Kevin cuts contact or worse. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your wife and stepson are a doozy though. I really don't need to list why Kevin is an a-hole in this situation as it is clearly written out. Your wife, however, is in the same boat. Not only did she want you to tell him no, she then insisted you were wrong and should have paid? She cannot have her cake and eat it too. I feel like Opie's wife spoiled the stepson before she got married, and continued to enable the behavior until it turned him into a spoiled adult. Yeah, two words that should not be able to go together, spoiled and adult. Not an a-hole, but Kevin is. He's grown and you're not responsible for him or his family. If he cuts contact, you've not really lost anything. Indeed. I think I could be wrong for not giving him more options and helped him to come. But this whole trip would have turned in drama-filled situation if my sons knew I paid for Kevin to come. He's 30 years old with a family. He should be able to figure out other options that don't involve your money. His mother wasn't even going to pay for him, and both of them turned to you. Why isn't he angry with his mother for not coming up with other options? Because you are a convenient scapegoat, and you need to understand this. He will cut off contact with you until he needs something else. You will not be rid of him forever. I mean, is him going no contact really a threat, or is it a gift at this point? Also, rethink your marriage. Not a a-hole. She literally said I won't pay, then got mad dad wouldn't pay, then made him tell her son this for her? Excuse me? You are right, that absolutely would have infuriated your two kids. The favoritism would be off the chain. Seems like Kevin is used to preferential treatment, so equal treatment seems sad or oppressive. Honestly, he's a grown man. If he wanted to go on vacation, he could have saved up for it. He made his own bed, and him and his mom can sleep in it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my 25 female stepsister 30 female she is a fool to think my sister 23 female would ever want a relationship with her? After my mom died, my dad remarried another woman who already had a daughter of her own. Honestly, me and my siblings weren't too keen on the idea of our dad marrying again, but it was ultimately his decision to make, so we chose to stay out of it. Our stepmom isn't that bad. We aren't close, but we don't have any bad blood between us either. Her daughter Sue, on the other hand, is an absolute nightmare. She is a spoiled and entitled brat, who for some reason would target my sister Aurelia. Aurelia has a short temper and doesn't usually put up with anyone's BS, so she'll try her best to keep her distance from Sue because she'll drive her off the edge to the point where she snaps. I warned her multiple times that she better quit Sid, and that I don't tolerate divas like her. She wouldn't even acknowledge anything I'd say and brush it off, which would really annoy me. I don't care if she doesn't want to have a relationship with us. The least she could do is be polite. There were so many occasions where Sue would make Aurelia feel terrible. She'd call her a banshee, a Grinch, and tell her she looked like she crawled out of a graveyard. That was deeply hurtful, and it caused plenty of insecurities to come along the road for Aurelia, despite my effort to tell her that none of that was true. Sue was a tough child, and you'd literally have to waste every nerve just to get her to listen, so obviously discipline didn't do much, and they gave up on it entirely. Now Aurelia is doing great. She has moved to Australia and she lives with her boyfriend. Me and my siblings will call her on a daily basis as we are extremely close with one another. Sue has dropped out of college and lives with a friend. My stepmom and dad cut contact with her because of personal issues I won't be addressing in this post. Sue has recently tried to reach out to Aurelia, even though Aurelia has made it clear that Sue is dead to her, and their so-called relationship has dipped down a drain a long time ago. Sue wouldn't take no as an answer and turned to me for advice because apparently she doesn't see what she had done wrong to cause Aurelia to despise her so much. I replied saying that she had zero self-awareness, and I had little to no sympathy for her. She was a fool to think that Aurelia would ever want a relationship with her. I told her that she made her bed and had to lay in it. You reap what you sow after all, right? She started crying and hung up, and made a long post on Facebook about how she was seen as the screw-up, and that of course Aurelia will forever maintain her position as the golden child. I feel like an A. After all, that was a bit too harsh and overboard. But I'm not sure. Am I the a-hole? Not an a-hole. I'm not sure what she expected, but you were upfront and honest with her rather than lying. Just because you're step-siblings, you're not required to have a relationship. Not an a-hole. Sounds like she finally got the truth she needed to hear and didn't like it. Not an a-hole. Sue harassed and bullied Aurelia for years, but never felt a bit of guilt for it. Aurelia cut her out completely, which is to be expected. Sue reaches out to Aurelia and is surprised that Aurelia won't restore contact. Sue, being the bull she was and still is, refuses to accept no and ask you for advice. You told Sue the truth about her behavior and that Aurelia will never have a relationship with her. Sue doesn't like that. Too bad. It's what she earned. Don't be Sue's Facebook friend anymore or talk to her at all. She's still toxic. Not an a-hole. You just stated the truth on the situation to her. You might have been a bit harsh, but she clearly hasn't listened in the past. It has caused this to happen. However, your stepsister right now might be dealing with a lot and feeling she's being pushed out for no reason. Maybe you should speak to her family and ask to sit her down, then tell her all the things she's done and needs to make up for. Obviously not all at once, and probably not right now. Let her calm down, and that's all I can suggest. I'm sorry for the situation you're in. Hope things get solved sooner than later for you. I've made many attempts to try and have her open up to us. Aurelia even recommended she goes to therapy for heaven's sake. However, she refused. I think the straw that broke the camel's back was when Sue got into a massive fight with Aurelia that she said, "You're nothing, do you understand? You're a worthless piece of crap that serves no purpose whatsoever to any of us." The fight resulted into Sue being grounded for a month, and Aurelia crying and having a meltdown. She didn't come out of her room for the rest of the night, and I've never been so concerned for her well-being. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to be my friend's baby's godfather after I was given a legally binding contract to sign with requirements attached? Short story is, my wife is from another country, and we met a couple in which the husband's wife is from the same country. We are great friends for almost 9 years now, done a lot together, best friends hands down. The husband has no family alive / that talks to him, and the wife obviously only has the husband as her family here in the US. Well, the wife is pregnant with a baby girl. For sake of conversation, we will call her Jane. The husband asked me if I could be Jane's godfather. To note, they are Catholic. I was honored. My friend was thrilled, and the next day, he dropped off an envelope with some papers in it. After he left, I looked and it was a legal contract that I needed to sign in order to be the godfather. Obviously, I thought it was a bit overboard, but gave it a read anyways. It has many things I must do as a godfather, such as I must go to every Catholic event in which Jane attends, such as christening, confession, confirmation, etc., which I know are normal events for a Catholic child's life. Not a big deal. Then we get into ridiculous things. I have to consider becoming Catholic. I must give a gift of at least $500 for each of these events. And on birthday / Christmas, gifts must be cash only and over $250. Oh no, it gets worse. I am expected to save at least $25,000 over Jane's 18 years and set it aside for Jane's future college tuition. Her parents will provide the rest. Seriously? The list goes on to include various things, such as being willing to cancel any plans I have if they need me to watch Jane or if they go on vacation. Apparently Jane can't go? Many of the other things on the list were silly or not a big deal, like spending time with her once a week. I called my friend and said it was nothing personal, but there was no way I would sign it. He got mad and said I am the only family they got and should be thankful and honored to be asked. I told him I was honored, but the rules were extreme and ridiculous, especially when it comes to the money involved. He brought up that he knows I'm godfather to a niece I have, and I sent her money. Which I do. I give her $100 a year. In her country, that's a ton of money. I told him there's a big difference between $100 and tens of thousands over 18 years. He essentially told me he thought I was a good guy, but it was apparent that I was selfish. He has since blocked my number and my email. His wife has too. Mind you, his wife and mine talked nearly every day. Since he ended things, I shredded the papers he gave me and left them in a bag and put it in his mailbox for him, telling him it was a shame he ruined a friendship over ridiculous demands. I told him I forgive him regardless. Lastly, I will note together this couple makes almost $200,000 a year. My wife and I make not even $35,000 a year. So am I the a-hole for refusing to be Jane's godfather? Added information below. I should add that while I don't know what the wife's involvement in the contract was, many people that come from her country tend to be married to, let's say, wealthier men here. So they tend to live lavish lives and spend a lot on their kids. Some tend to also look down on small gifts. For example, if you don't have a Michael Kors purse, they judge you. So maybe the money thing was the wife's idea. If someone wants to spend a ton of money, that's up to them. But I don't want to spend a ton of money on a child that isn't even mine. At least not $25,000. Now for the comments. Haha, wait, you're serious? Not the a-hole. Sounds like they think you're a sucker and want to use you as a free ATM machine. They want you to pony up at least $25,000 for future college fund? No. They want you to just pay for their kid while they can spend their own money on whatever they want. True. The wife does buy a lot of expensive stuffs and is full of herself at times. Not the a-hole. Putting $25,000 away for a child's college tuition that isn't even yours is a huge ask. I've never heard of a godparent giving so much money at every event, and they really shouldn't be surprised that you didn't go through with it. Most people wouldn't be able to handle that financial burden, and they're going to learn that the hard way. I'm sorry that this situation ruined your friendship, and hopefully they'll see how much of a selfish a-hole they're being. Yeah, usually parents or the child figure out the college thing later. It isn't my problem. Not a-hole. Holy cow! This may be a serious cultural difference, but how in the world are you supposed to save that amount of money for someone else's kid? That's just a crazy demand. And the whole thing is completely out of whack with societal norms. Putting the shredded thing in his mailbox was an a-hole move on your part, and certainly didn't help calm things down. But you are not being selfish. You are being realistic. For them to put financial demands on your family like this shows an incredible lack of awareness on their part. There is no way you could be her godfather, not unless you want your life dictated by this rule. I remember my grandmother would give me $100 savings bonds every Christmas for my future. $25,000 though? No. I do agree shredding it wasn't the best idea, especially if they ever decide to apologize and want to be friends again. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my dad's wife to refer to me by name or as her bonus kid in interviews? Just joined Reddit to get some perspective on this. I'm 29 female, and my parents divorced when I was 15. My dad remarried when I was 20, and his new wife, Laura, is a sort of famous radio profile in our country. Laura is occasionally interviewed by newspapers or other media, and she's often asked about her home and love life, which would be normal and perfectly fine, if not for how she consistently refers to myself and my older siblings by our full names and as her bonus kids. Problem is, our last name is unique. If you meet a person with that last name, then that person is 100% related to us. We are, in short, extremely easy to find, which makes this doubly uncomfortable. I've had people contact me on Facebook asking if I know Laura, or what it's like to live with her, and all kinds of outright invasive questions. My sister has looked up the law on name changes to see if she can take our grandmother's maiden name just to avoid all of this. And I'm considering taking my fiancé's name when I get married. Laura always had a habit of acting like our mom, which is frustrating and annoying at best, and downright insulting at worst, since our mom is very much alive and in our lives. My sister and I always said we were uncomfortable with that, and Laura never listened. After the first interview, we told her also that we didn't want to be referred to as her bonus kids, because we're adults and don't like to be referred to like we're kids. Laura still doesn't listen, and I'm fed up. I've moved to a different country fairly recently, and I've stopped talking to Laura at all. I still talk to my dad, and he has been reproachful about how I won't talk to his wife. I've told him that if she stops mentioning our names in interviews and stops acting like we're her 10-year-old babies, I'll talk to her. It's not unreasonable to not want my privacy broken, and I don't really feel guilty. But am I the a-hole for not wanting her to keep doing this or for not talking to her? Not the a-hole. But personally, I would have started answering all those fans' questions after she didn't listen the first time. Hell, I'd have started a YouTube channel and started calling her out and giving out her personal activities. This right here. Oh yes, I know Laura. You can reach her at... Not the a-hole. You tried telling her and she didn't listen, so that's on her. Your request is reasonable as it's having real-life consequences and affecting your personal life. Not the a-hole. But damn, step-parents can't win. If they don't acknowledge their step-kids like they acknowledge their bio-kids, it's an issue. And if they do, it's an issue. I'm sure she annoys her bio-kids as well, and she's just trying to share the annoyance, lol. You have a right to privacy, but I can't imagine getting cut off for wanting to shout out my step-kids that I'm probably proud of. I wish she had married into a family with kids that appreciate her for the quirky person she is. Not the a-hole. The petty/malicious/vindictive part of me would call her up during her radio show and let her whole fanbase know she's ignoring your wishes to not be mentioned. Sounds like you're not in the US. Can you send her a cease and desist letter? And don't even say who you are, Opie. Just be like, hey, I'm curious why you keep referring to your bonus kids by their full names when they've asked you to stop. Chances are she'll recognize your voice and figure out what's up, but then you can just play dumb. Of course, this would pretty much torpedo the relationship, at least for the time being, but boy would it be satisfying. It's up to you whether or not it's worth it. Lol.